What's up, guys? This is Craig with the That One Time in Rehab podcast, a podcast about the dark side of the substance abuse field. Today, our story is about a predator and his prey. It doesn't take place in the jungle, it takes place in rehab. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. We've got a great story for you. Before we get into today's story, we're going to talk about something extremely serious. You guys ready? Sex in rehab. Everyone's doing it. I remember when I was in rehab and people would talk about their first time having sober sex in like 10 years. I didn't really think much of it until I was in the situation. And sober sex sounds like it just sounds like romantic. It sounds good, like, oh, sober sex. But sober sex to me lasted like 12 seconds. It was on a sandy beach with people walking around. Sober sex wasn't fun. Kids, it's going to take a few years. Well, at least it did for me. Sober sex, yeah. Sucked. Be back in a moment. We're back. Let's get right into things. The story is about a struggling client who was using in treatment, and they had a really good insurance policy, but they wanted to leave treatment against medical advice so they could go get high. That said person informed the owner of the facility. He begged her to stay, but to no avail, because if a drug addict wants to get drugs, they're going to get drugs. Instead, he finally came to the conclusion that the only way to keep her there was to give her money to buy heroin, which he did. I know that sounds insane, but he sent her and her friend to a really bad neighborhood. I think it's like 4th Ave in Delray Beach. It's really bad. He sent 2 girls in their young 20s to go purchase heroin because she had a good insurance policy and he didn't want her to leave. 30 days later, he gives her a job at the facility. That way he can keep her there and continue billing her insurance. During this time, he manipulated her parents, explaining that she's extremely sick and can't go home. He manipulated the patient to believe she's sicker than she really was. He bragged about this to the entire staff. Kept billing her insurance for over a year while she was working there. She had more drug tests than therapist appointments over the course of that year. Shortly after, her insurance ran out. She was then discharged from treatment and fired from her job for no reason. She wasn't looked at as a patient, she was a commodity. She was used, abused, and thrown to the street. Not by a pimp or a drug dealer, but by the person who was supposed to provide care. The story ends right there, but the cycle continues. I know there's a lot of crazy stories like this, and keep listening, you'll hear them. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe. Have a great fucking day.